Hey everybody, Max here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Action Force Steel Brigade Special Corps figure. This is the convention exclusive that is now available on the website. So I got these two guys through the Wounded Warehouse program. They had some problems with the blister card glue not adhering properly to the card back, and so they knocked a few bucks off, and then I picked these guys up during the Memorial Day sale. So I was really looking forward to getting these guys. I like the idea of the VAC metal helmet. It looks really good, and wanted some more urban style Steel Brigade figures because I have several female figures. Actually, I have one female figure and then the Eclipse figure, but the female figure comes with two heads, so hey, why not? I've got the Warpath Eclipse too, so that's kind of like my main Eclipse figure. But I wanted some males. I've got some of the Desert Steel Brigade as well as the Arctic Steel Brigade. But yeah, one of these, the blue guys. So I'm glad to have these guys in the collection. Um, the picture that you were seeing in the thumbnail and what you're seeing here might lend you to think that there's some QC issues with the leg. Not necessarily, not really. So let's just kind of get this out of the way. The reason I took the leg off was to kind of illustrate that this particular leg was very stiff at the thigh cut, and I inadvertently, and you might not be able to see it on camera, but kind of distressed the plastic a little bit. It's a little in a neutral position. These legs on this particular body, they can be a little wobbly, and me trying to get the thigh cut to move, it's even after heating this guy up, it's still hard to rotate. I ended up kind of putting too much pressure on the leg joint or the hip joint, the ball joint there, and it didn't distress the plastic, thankfully. I was afraid I might break it, but I just wanted to take it off and just kind of illustrate just be careful if you find that if you get one of these with the thigh joint really stiff on either leg, just be careful because now it's a little more loose than I would want it to be, but it kind of is what it is. For the most part, these figures turned out really well. This one is definitely better than this one, and I'll explain why. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a dual review on these figures, but I'll try to be quick about it. So the leg has that issue, and also you can probably hear that the drop down hips are very stiff and creaky, and this is one of the reasons that I don't really care for drop down hips. Typically, I mean, Valaverse, they haven't been a problem. Sometimes they're a little loose, but now they're super tight. And if you watched my video on the Crimson Shadow Infantry figure, same problem. So largely the same body, well, exactly the same body with the exception of different lower leg pieces and everything. But that figure's okay too. But it's just got this particular issue here. So you can hear it creaking, and so there is that issue with it. So just be careful when you are moving these legs around. I'd hate to see or hear of someone breaking the ball joint or damaging their legs or anything like that. So we want our figures to stay in pristine collecting form, right? So we can do our pictures and our photography and our videos and all that wonderful stuff. So let's see. So there's that. So that's why the leg was off in the thumbnail. I was also trying to be a little funny. But let's dive into the accessories, and we'll get into our usual stuff here. So yeah, hopefully this guy will continue to stand. There we go. All right. So we've got the typical two left and right cupping hands. We've got, let's see, we got two left and right gripping hands, two left and right fists, tan with gray paint, and then the trigger finger hands, left and right, tan with gray paint. Yeah. I don't know why the figure looks really good. I do like this body. I just want the QC issues to get worked out. Just kind of the jiggly joints and that sort of thing that you've probably heard me talk about in my other videos. I wish the gloves and the boots were black. I feel like the tan just kind of, I don't really like this color for these boots. It just doesn't quite look right. It looks kind of I don't know. I feel like it needs extra paint to kind of highlight it, you know, like maybe black laces or just make it all black. So that's about the only thing I would change about this guy in terms of its appearance. So those are the hands. He comes with a new backpack, which is, I'm not a big fan of backpacks, but particularly when it comes to classified, because they're just thick, chunky pieces of plastic that don't always fit properly, and they add a lot of extra weight because they're a solid big chunk of plastic. But I do like the fact that Action Force, they hollow them out, and you can store stuff in here. I mean, you could get a hand or two in here if you wanted to, but you know, hey, it's kind of cool, and it makes it lighter, and you can close it off like that. And it's definitely lighter than your average G.I. Joe classified backpack. And it looks pretty cool. And the tampo and the paint turned out okay. So you got the Steel Brigade logo and silver on the carabiners. And it's just a flat OD green kind of plastic. So yeah, pretty cool. And it fits very well on the figure, I have to say. You kind of have to get the holes lined up just right on the back. And so there's that. And I don't have his feet positioned properly for him to stand with it, but he will stand with it. So that is pretty cool. Since I took the straps and everything off of this guy, I will just kind of go over. I'll just go over that kind of like this instead of on the figure. So as the drop leg holster, and this is, I think, fairly new, if I'm not mistaken, because this is a new version of the Maxim 9. It has a red dot sight on the top and a Picatinny rail on the bottom. And it's got black plastic with some green paint. And I like the Maxim 9. I think it's kind of cool. The concept of an integrated suppressor has a port for blast effects, but I don't understand why they redid it to have a pick rail when there's nothing there to attach. So it's too small to add any kind of attachments. Nothing clips on. It's just there to be decorative. So I don't think that was needed, but on the whole, I think it's a cool pistol. And the holster, there's pretty good retention, pretty good detail, and oh, it's got an extended magazine and I think a different texture grip too. So there's some changes to that particular firearm. And then we have this new holster that goes on his right leg. And then we have a left leg magazine pouch. Has 2 magazines, and the as near as I can tell, these are newly designed magazines. They don't have lines. They have more concentric circles or a series of circles on there. So we've got some new magazines for these guys. And I don't think we've seen this holster, if I'm not mistaken, this mag pouch. At least I don't recall. Probably should have checked that before I started recording. But anyway, I think it's neat. And then you have this belt / harness, and it goes around the waist, and it's got a really thick single peg, and it pegs in there very easily. And got this pouch that hides the peg, just solid black plastic. Lots of pouches. Maybe there's meant to be a med pack, that sort of thing. Very good detail. No extra paint or anything. I think that might have been kind of cool. I don't understand exactly what these straps are supposed to be for, unless this is supposed to I mean, if there was some kind of rappelling equipment or something like that, like he's jumping out of a helicopter, that would be kind of cool. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's just I'm wondering legitimately, like, what's the purpose of straps like this? So if you know in the comments section, let me know, please. It has these shoulder armor, shoulder pauldrons. Really good paint on the Steel Brigade logo. And pretty flexible, not too thick, not too thin, and the straps fit on the arm very well. There's good retention. It doesn't really float around much, so it just kind of fits over the upper arm, and you can kind of push it up. And let's see if we can get the T-pose. It is flexible enough you can still get pretty good range of motion. And I am having similar problems to the Crimson Infantry, Crimson Shadow Infantry, with the shoulder being a little too wide or thick, so that there's some trouble getting it into the butterfly joint. So you may have to heat it up to get it in, and then as it cools off, hopefully that new shape will stay, and you'll have a little easier time of it. But these will, like if you keep this guy, keep these, if you get him in a certain pose where, it's, it's flexible enough, but it will, I mean, it won't stay warped forever. It will return back to its normal shape is what I'm trying to say. So you may, you know, monkey around with your posing, and it may get a little warped and it may stay that way for a little while, but it will come back to true. So, and there's paint on both sides, so that's cool. So there's that, and then of course this is same arms and legs, body that we've seen for Series 5, and this is what it looks like without it. Some have compared or criticized the addition of the shoulder armor, comparing it to the Delta Red Urban Trooper. And, there's a little more detail and it's certainly thicker than this thing. But hey, I mean, who cares where the inspiration comes from? I think it's a nice little additional accessory to the line. So yeah, we may see that again. I think it's a good idea. So hey, inspiration comes from all kinds of forms or all kinds of places. So we got that. He has the nice new tan Rocky figure stand. So that's cool. He has the night vision goggles with the overly long post. Now on this particular figure, which is the better of the two, it fits very well into the notch on the helmet, which the helmet is very well designed. Initially I was like, is this going to really work? It kind of looks like a unicorn or something like that, but this is probably, I mean, I know not a real military helmet, but I know real military helmets do have that port for the night vision goggles. So anyway, and it lines up fairly well. I mean, it's a little different because there's no human eyes to line up with. It's just a visor. So that's cool. The helmet's nice. This figure, there was too much paint, or perhaps there was too much plastic flashing on its night vision goggles, and hopefully you can see that there's chips in the black paint as a result of that in it, because it wouldn't sit flush, and I can even feel some kind of, the paint is scratched off, so it's rough right there. Now, I'm not mad about that, to be honest with you. It's having the black paint scratched off kind of gives it this lived-in look, just a tad. So that doesn't really bother me a whole lot. Now, it comes with two new rifles that I really, really think are cool. So we got this AR-15 with kind of a flash suppressor, foregrip, the new magazine, kind of a red dot. However, this is like a pistol brace and not your typical padded stock. So a rifle this long, I would not want to be firing it with just a pistol brace. This is something that's meant for shorter barreled rifles and as a stabilizer. It's like sometimes it's called a pistol brace or a stabilizer brace, if I recall correctly. So that's what this looks like, and not a traditional stock. And if there's no padding, I would not want to be firing an AR-15 with just that. But despite that being maybe, I don't know, tell me if that's accurate or not. And it looks like it's got what's supposed to be a molded hinge, so you could collapse it if in the real world. So that would be interesting. If anybody knows if this represents something in the real world, please let me know. That would be awesome. And then we got another rifle that has the traditional looking buttstock with padding, same magazine. Looks like he's got a telescopic sight with a red dot. And then this cool thing, which looks like a rotating drum grenade launcher. So almost like in a bullpup configuration. And both rifles have ports for blast effects. And I have been looking for online to see what this might be. So I don't know if there's a real world equivalent to this either, but I gotta say it looks pretty cool. So I definitely like this, and it's very sturdy. Black plastic, green paint. So those are the accessories for Mr. Steel Corps. Oh, of course, he comes with 2 grenades. He has a new vest, and we've seen these grenades before. I'm not crazy about the grenades being glued. The pouches are glued to the front, but so one of these I may try and peel it off and just see what it looks like underneath there, because it looks like it's just glued on there. So the molly webbing that's molded is probably, I doubt there's a blank spot under there. So who knows? Maybe in the future we'll see this vest on somebody else, but without the maybe the knife in a different place or the grenades in a different place. But this is a new knife, and I think it looks really cool, and it's very sturdy and actually very pointy. Looks like it's got G10 handle scales on it, and very cool looking tactical blade. And let's see, so the helmet, very shiny. The paint, the black, the bluish hue to the visor, very cool. I do like the design of this particular helmet. Looks like a new neck piece too, if I'm not mistaken. And he can look up very far, and he can look down very far. So that's great. He's a little loose. The neck peg feels, he's not like bobbleheady, but he's almost there. So there's kind of a certain positions, there's kind of a little bit right there, like the neck joint is not as thick as it should be, or the opening of the where the neck, the hole in the head, the bottom of the head, maybe it's a little too wide. I don't know, but yeah, so there's pretty good articulation there. Vest has good paint on the symbol, the straps, molly webbing all around. It detaches right here. Let's see. Oh, there's a little red cross indicating his med pouch right there in the front. So yeah, I do like this new vest, and I'm looking forward to seeing it perhaps in a different configuration or different color. Maybe it'll go into the Maritime Corps Trooper gear pack. I would absolutely pick that up. Let's see. Is there anything else to go over? I think that's it. Articulation. Like I said, this guy I heated up a little bit to get the arms into a T-pose. So it makes me wonder if they're using older, like if these are new arms and a new torso, if they're using old butterfly joints and they're just too small. I don't know why they would do that, but you can get a T-pose, bicep swivel. There's some inconsistencies in the paint on the underarm and the gray, but that doesn't really bother me a whole lot. This particular figure has pretty good, no wobble in the elbows when it's in a neutral position. So that's great. So it is possible to get one of these that's in solid. Now, my Maritime Corps figure was fantastic. I don't think I had any problems with that. I was very pleased, and it's essentially the same body and just a different color. But the underarm, the gray, I know it's just meant to be some highlights, but it's not always filling in. It's just kind of, there's chips in it. There's gaps in it. So I'm kind of the mind, just stop doing it if you can't do it right or can't do it well. So, but because it's underarm, you don't see it much. But I do like the overarching look of everything, the pouches, the zippers, the straps on these new arms. I just want them to get to a point where everything is, perfect. I want perfection. Give me perfection, Bobby Vala. Let's see. So good waist swivel. Well, you can't lean forward because of the vest very well, or back, but you can get pretty good side to side. Yeah. Well, no, well, I take that back. Not very good side to side. So we got the T-pose, and of course he goes all the way around. Wrists, double jointed pinless elbows and knees. The heads drop down hips with the gun and everything in the mag pouch. He has pretty good splits on a whole. This one also has the stiff drop down hips, but he can get about 90 degrees or a little above 90 degrees. So that's fine. The hip joints are a little less wobbly in the neutral position than on this figure here. So this guy's probably going to get some Mod Podge. And then we have double jointed pinless elbows, knees. As I said before, kicks back pretty far, pretty good range of motion on the feet. So like I said, I like the look of this. I just don't think I think the boots should be black. I may try to paint these maybe dye the hands and try and dye or just paint these boots a little bit. So there's that, and good shin swivel. Yeah, so on a whole, not too bad, at least this figure. And this one has some of the issues that have plagued other figures in the past of this particular series and these particular parts. So that is the Steel Brigade Special Corps. The package comes, so there's a front and the back, like the old, to represent like the old Palitoy Action Force figures. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, I never had any of these. That was a company from the UK. So I never had any of these, but I've looked up the packaging online and it looks exactly like this. So that's pretty cool. Showing Series 5 figures, the Vanguard, mail away. You get 3 action points with this guy, and then you can pause the video and read the file card if you would like. So that is the packaging. That is the Steel Brigade Special Corps figure. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Have you gotten this guy yet? Have you had any issues? Are you going to get him at some point in the near future? I'm fairly pleased with this guy. I'm going to give this guy a warp factor of 8.5, but this guy is probably more of a probably more of a 7.5. So I want to go and kind of give these two together, just kind of balance it out, like say a warp factor of 8, and hopefully things will get better as the line progresses and we see some new things going forward in the future. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and continue to be awesome. Take care.